Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is OJ, and on today's episode I want to teach you guys how I made this cowl neckline top with a bell sleeve. If this is something you're interested in, let's get started. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I have already gone ahead to draft out my basic bodies. And for these basic bodies, I already added 2 inches extra allowance because this top is not a fitted top and it will not have a zipper at the back. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to use these basic bodies to cut out my back pattern. If you watch this pattern closely, you will notice it has the basic back neckline. So I'll just go ahead to cut out my back piece first. Remember, I already added 2 inches allowance, and the length of this top is the 24 inches hip length top. So I'll just go ahead to cut out the back piece. So while cutting, I'm going to cut out 1/2 inch for stitching. So at the lower part of my top, I'm going to add extra 2 inches because my back pattern wasn't enough for the length I wanted. So I'm going to cut out 1/2 inch extra for stitching at the side and at the armhole, including the shoulders. So at the hemline, I just went in by 1 inch at the side, then cuff it to the center front just to give it a nice shape. And that is all for my back piece. So for my front piece, I'm still going to be making use of the same pattern that I used for my back piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is to slash my chest line open towards my armhole on a straight line. Then I'm not going to cut this off, guys, just a little bit before cutting off, then I'm going to stop. So this is what I'm going to use to cut my front pattern. So the method I'm going to use here is called the slash and spread method. So after slashing, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2, then bring my center front to the folded part. Then I'm going to open my chest line as wide as I want it to be. You can see from the video I wanted a very big cowl neckline. So I'm going to open this up to like 8 inches to 9 inches. If you don't want yours to be this much, you can use 7 to 6 inches. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to use 8 to 9 inches wideness. So what I'm going to do is to add 1/2 inch along the seam line. That is the side, the armhole, the neckline, and the shoulders. Remember, I need to add 2 inches at the hemline because my pattern paper isn't enough for the length that I wanted. So that is the 2 inches I added at the hemline before cutting. So I'm going to cut around the side, the armhole, the shoulder and neckline with 1/2 inch for stitching. So from my shoulders, I'm not going to go in towards my neckline. I'll just make a curve straight to the folded part of the upper part of the fabric, just the way I just did. If you do not get this clearly, you can rewatch this video. It is just a curve from my shoulders to the topmost part of the folded fabric. After that, I'm going to go ahead to cut my facing. So for the facing, I folded another fabric into two and placed my front piece on it. So I'm just going to cut along my neckline, my cowl neckline. Then at the armhole, I'm going to come down by 3 to 4 inches. So I'm going to mark it out, then cut along the cowl neckline to my armhole. Then I'm going to stop at the 4 inches marked below my armhole. So now that I have my facing, I just want to make a quick demonstration on how I'm going to use it to turn it. I'm going to place my main piece and the facing right side facing each other, and I'm going to stitch along the cowl neckline, then turn the facing inside. And for this process, guys, you're not going to be stop stitching, because your cowl neckline is going to be falling to the front, and we don't want to be seeing any extra or unwanted stitch along your seam line. So there's not going to be top stitching, guys. Once you stitch along your cowl neckline, you just have to iron it out well so that it will form your cowl neckline just the way I'm demonstrating it right now. So for my sleeve, I already folded my fabric into 4 places, which means I'm cutting the two sleeves together. The length of this sleeve is about 31 inches because of the extra long effect I'm going to have at the same side of my sleeve. If you watch the video closely, you're going to see it has an extra long sleeve at the stitch side. So I'm making use of 31 inches fabric, which means after joining at the upper and lower part, I'm going to have 30 inches. But at my main wrist, I'm going to be making use of my normal sleeve length, which is 25. But I'm going to cut out 26 inches for half same stitch at the upper and the lower part of the sleeve. So right here, I'm going to make a freehand sleeve cuff, and guys, it's going to be extra because I want to pleat the excess at the shoulder of my sleeve. So right here, I measured my 31 inches, then I already marked my 26 inches at the other side of the sleeve, and I'm going to make an horizontal line to match each other, just the way I'm doing right now. And do not forget, this sleeve depends on how big or how wide or how long you want your sleeve to be. So it is not a must you make use of my measurement here. This just have to depend on your own preference. Then I went ahead to cut it out. So for my back piece, I'm going to go ahead to cut a facing for it. So I just folded this fabric into 2. Then I cut around the neckline and the shoulder line. Then I went ahead to mark out 3.5 inches round. Then I cut it along the half circle line. After cutting, the next thing is to start stitching. So right here, I'm just joining my my front neckline just the way I have explained initially. The facing and the main fabric are facing each other on the right side, then I stitch along the cowl neckline by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side and iron it down. But before I went ahead to iron it down, I notch round my neckline before turning it over, then ironing it out. Then for my back piece, I went ahead to do the same at the neckline with the facing. So I just went ahead to stitch it down by 1/2 inch, then notch it out and turn it over, then iron it just as I did for the front. For my back piece, I did a top stitch because we do not have an excess neckline at the back and my top stitching is going to be in place. So I went ahead to top stitch it, then turn it inside and iron it down. After both necklines have been put in place, the next thing to do is to join both front and back piece at the shoulder. So I'm going to have 4 pieces of fabric at the shoulders. Then I'm going to put them together and use one of it to turn it over. So after joining them, this is what I have. Guys, you can see my cowl neckline is already coming together. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join both back and front piece together at the sides by the 1/2 inch allowance I cut out initially. So before I proceed to the sleeve, I will first of all prep my armhole. So I measured my armhole to be 8 inches because this armhole has shortened already. Then I recurved my armhole cuff. Then I put the 2 armholes together and I cut my shape and I cut it out. So for my sleeve, I already went ahead to hem it at the hem line and I also joined it at the side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to just sew a gathers around the armhole on my sleeve, so I can pull it together to form I can pull the excess together to form my puff at the shoulder. After I was done with the gather stitch, then I pull at the thread to make my gathers. Then the gathered point, I put it to meet my shoulder point on my blouse. Then from that point, I pin my sleeve round the armhole to make a perfect match before stitching it down. So after I was done stitching round my armhole, this is what my gathers is looking like, and my sleeve is sitting pretty. So I'm just going to do the same process for the other sleeve. If you do not understand this part of the sleeve, you can go ahead to watch the video, have a playback and watch it again so that you can perfectly understand. So after I was done with the other sleeve, I went ahead to hem it at the hem line by 1/2 inch, and my top is ready, guys. If you watch this video up unto this point, thank you very much, guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do not forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment and turn on post notification. Thank you very much.